Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? What up, gang? What up, gang? I'm actually sipping tea tonight. Been fighting off a cold all week. Oh, what are we talking about tonight? Well, let's see here. Let's drop it in the chat. Topic 1. Voting. All right, those are the 3 topics we're going to hit tonight. So, we're going to start out with something boring. Dating. Excuse me. Voting. Rhymes of dating, if you're Southern. Then we're gonna go to that clip everybody was sharing that I actually disagreed with yesterday, but I didn't put how can I say it? I didn't really push back against anybody that was sending that Kenyon Martin standing on business thread, because I knew I was gonna talk about it tonight, and I know it goes into the Black Dads Club group chat on Facebook. So I was like, all right, I'll just wait on that. But we're going to discuss that, and then we're going to finish up with the average date. One of my homegirls hit me up, and she was just like, the average date, isn't $189. What y'all guys be talking about? So we actually we're gonna do an average date tonight. We're gonna pull up a couple menus, and we're gonna go through the average date to see what the average date costs. That's what we're doing tonight. But first thing, we're gonna go. So in one of my groups that I'm in with several productive black men, there's always this discussion on not even so much how we could save the black community, but like, hey, how do we turn the ship around, right? Either we think that the black community is heading in the right direction, right? So we keep everything the same. Or if we're saying that we need to make changes, we're saying that, hey, we believe that the black community is heading in the wrong direction, right? How do we change that? And none of us we can never get a consensus on this, right? Everybody wants to argue about the things that affect them the most. And something that I've been adamant about is I believe that the quickest way to turn around or change the black community, and again, forgive me, y'all, I got a cold, so try not to sneeze or blow my nose on air, on live. I think it's 2 ways that we can rapidly turn around the black community. And I don't believe that this is something that we can even disagree about. I don't believe we can actually disagree on the 2 things. What's up, Mr. Walker? That we can fix in the black community that I think would probably have like 100% return in our community, right? And the 2 places that I think that we can do better as black Americans is voting and out of wedlock births. I think those are two places that are so simple and so easy to fix, right? It literally costs you nothing to fix either one of those two things, right? And I think it's something that we all can agree upon as Black Americans. I don't think that we should disagree on whether or not you should vote. And I got a video here, obviously not a black guy on the screen, but we're going to discuss voting, right? With all the things why people say that they don't want to vote, right? Or their vote doesn't matter. But I'm going to play this video. I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm going to play about 2 minutes of it, right? But first place is, right, voting, it doesn't cost us anything, right? Doesn't cost us anything. It costs our ancestors their lives sometimes. But it doesn't cost us anything, right? You can register to vote next time you renew your driver's license. You can register to vote. I don't know. You can go to your state voter voting page and find out how to register. I'm pretty sure it's not complicated, right? And you can register to vote. And I believe that Black Americans in this country should be registered to vote. Out of everybody who's eligible to vote, I think our registration should be over 90%. I don't think this is a hard task. We're at 60%, which is honestly higher than what I expected. There's no reason we should not be at a 90% registered to vote clip. Period, point blank. It should be 100%, but I think 90 should be the bare minimum. So 30% of us, or the remaining 30% of us, need to go and register to vote. Or 75% of the remaining 40% that is unregistered need to go register to vote, right? We need to get that up to 90%. And then I believe that blacks should vote at I said a 75% clip. Let's just say 80 so we can come close, right? In every election, we should vote at an 80% clip, especially in non-presidential elections. I am not telling you how to vote, so do not come to me with this whole you're on the plantation thing or I'm a free thinker, I'm going to vote this way. No, I don't even care how you vote, right? I think once we get into practice of voting, right, which again is free, costs us nothing. You can mail in ballots, you can early vote. This costs you nothing but just effort, right? And this is not me pulling for any political party whatsoever. Hey, welcome to the room, Dwight. This is not me. I'm saying out of all black voters that are eligible, it should be over 90% of us registered. And in every election, not just presidential election, in every election, we should vote at a 75% clip. The reason why you're going to do this is twofold. But I'm going to play the video first. Let's hop into the video.
But the modern version of the voting paradox goes back to the 1950s, when an economist named Anthony Downs, along with other researchers, began looking at democracy through a scientific lens. What that meant was they started looking to psychology to understand how and why citizens make decisions.
Anthony Downs in 1957 wrote a book called An Economic Theory of Democracy, in which he made the argument that rational voters would be hesitant to vote because they can't unilaterally decide the outcome of an election, and they can enjoy the outcome of an election regardless of whether they participate or revile.
Very important right here, right? Because this is what a lot of people do, right? They can celebrate the outcome if the person that they like wins, whether they participate or not. And if the person that they hate wins, they could say, hey, that's not my guy. So everything that's being messed up is due in part to this person, right? Whether they vote or not, because there's no shame in not voting. But again, I'm sticking to this, why we should vote. But this is why people don't vote.
The outcome of the election, as the case may be.
The key word here is rational. These early ideas from Downs and others assumed that we are rational people who decide to do things for rational reasons. So what does being rational actually mean?
So Downs had the idea that people would vote if and only if the benefits of doing so outweighed the costs. So what figures in the benefit side of the equation? What figures in the cost side?
Rational choice theory assumes that individuals make decisions by weighing the costs and benefits of their options. And
now, this is how they run elections, right? They tell you that if you don't vote, it will cost you this, right? So there has to be a negative connotation for you not to vote, right? If you don't vote, you're going to lose health care, right? If you don't vote, immigrants are going to take your jobs, right? So it's the negative outcome, right? That has not changed in 100 years. Humans do not respond to positivity. It's something I have to remind myself when I make videos, right? I need to have a negative hook on the video, because a positive hook, no one's going to pay attention to it. So that has not changed. So again, cost benefit analysis.
Always striving to maximize happiness or satisfaction. According to this theory, when making any choice, people should logically choose the option that provides the highest net benefit or the least cost. But in many real-life situations, people don't do that. Like at the grocery store, you may stand in the cereal aisle judging the best cost per unit or getting the healthiest option. But you might also just grab the Lucky Charms because you're in a hurry and you don't have time to do a cost-benefit analysis about breakfast. I mean,
and I want you to notice how important this is because when you go to the grocery store, everything is broken down beyond the price to either like a price per ounce or per milliliter. Like, they actually do this because a lot of people are doing cost-benefit analysis.
we know we should exercise more and not procrastinate to get the most long-term benefits and the least personal costs. But do we do that? This is where we get stuck when we try to look at voting as a purely rational choice. Because if choosing to vote was just about reducing costs and increasing benefits, it would be much easier to get people to actually do it. In the 19th century, some politicians tried to increase the benefits of voting by turning it into an all-day festival full of music and free whiskey.
I'm gonna skip ahead real quick.
It's a little bit of difference to lower the costs, make the registration deadline closer to the election. But it's a reminder that those kinds of material costs are not so crucial for a large number of people.
So if most of us aren't making a rational choice whether or not to vote, then why do we do it?
Another thing that's relevant is what might be called by academics prescriptive social norms. So these are the kinds of implicit rules about what we ought to do that we carry around since childhood.
Like many of us learned we ought to put our napkins on our laps at restaurants, or we have to dress a certain way for school. These aren't laws, but they're really powerful social codes.
We are instructed about social norms in a quite emotionally painful way from the moment we are little children, either by our parents or our siblings or our classmates. And we are told what kind of behavior is going to be deemed as acceptable.
Sometimes we're told this directly, like when our parents tell us to do something.
Could you serve yourself in a less athletic manner? Is this better?
But other times, we just see what's going on around us and internalize what our peers consider right and wrong. And Professor Green thinks this goes for voting too.
I'm almost done.
Although you don't have to vote, I think you might feel a bit ashamed if you didn't vote and had to admit it to someone who was quizzing you about how you voted or whether you voted or where you voted. And so to some extent, people defer to social norms by voting rather than taking heed later.
I have a 134 IQ.
All right. So one of the reasons why I say blacks should vote, black Americans should vote, and we got to make it more important, is that it needs to become cultural for us, right? No one fought for the right to vote as much as our ancestors fought for the right to vote. No one put their lives on the line as much as our ancestors put their lives on the line, right? This has to become a cultural norm for black Americans. This gave all the reasons why people don't, and I get it, right? And sometimes you're going to vote, and you know what? You're going to pick the wrong person. It's going to happen because we're human. And we'll do it in mass. Hell, we look at the current administration. Not our fault per se as black Americans, but we are Americans as a whole. This is a group project. This is where we're at. But the biggest thing is voting in this country has become very, very apathetic, except for the people that understand how important voting is. By black Americans voting, we do two things, right? One, the moment we show up on the radar as being over-registered to vote in comparison to everybody else. And the moment we show that we're showing up at the polls to vote, let me ask you a question. Have black Americans been allowed to have anything in this country without somebody looking over your shoulder saying, I want that? Right? I don't care if it's jazz music, rock and roll, frying the chicken, right? No matter what it is, right? If it's your food, if it's your culture, right? If it's barbecue and cookout, Memorial Day, they don't care. The moment they see you do it, they showing up. And that's a good thing. That is a really, really good thing. We will not be able to vote at these high levels by ourselves, right? One or two things are going to happen. One, they're either going to try to stop you from voting, right? Disenfranchisement, possible. Can't deny that, right? We do live in the United States of America, right? Or the second thing is they show up at the polls too. And I think as a country, as a whole, we're all more on the same page than we're off, right? But to my earlier point, right? As a group project, some of us not worried about getting the F, right? The F doesn't affect us. I got 99s everywhere else. I can afford an F, so they don't have to vote. But if black Americans vote at the highest levels, I think it does two things. One, I think it makes black Americans a swing vote. And the second, which means you can start demanding something. Right now, you can't demand anything. They come in at the end because they know that the same 50% of blacks are going to show up at a presidential election are going to show up. They know how they're going to vote. They account for you. They pushing all their funding and money and advertising to actual swing voters. So for one, we increase our voting leverage, right? Which means we can actually get things that would help the black American community, which by and large are the same things that help everybody, right? Social programs, infrastructure, education, colleges, healthcare, more police reduces crime in crime-ridden areas, right? Things like that. Everybody would get that, right? But these are things that would help us as black Americans, right? But the second thing is, I think the unintended benefit of black Americans voting at the highest levels of any demographic, if we was just to take this one thing on, I think it will force everybody in the country to vote. And I think that would be a good thing. Because again, you're not allowed to have anything. So I'm not going to harp on this. I'm not going to preach on this. But I do believe that as black Americans, in the group, I said two things that would fix the black community, right? Out of wedlock births. We can reduce out of wedlock births in the black community to zero. We don't have to have that. Like, fertility awareness is an actual thing. We do not have to accidentally have babies out of wedlock, right? And I'll be honest, if you're not married to somebody that you like and you want to raise kids with, you honestly don't want kids. Raising kids on your own is hard. Even if you got a co-parent, it's hard, right? The kids are an anchor. You know what I'm saying? If you're an active parent, you can't go anywhere. You can't move anywhere. You can't take any job you want, right? The benefit to raising children is seeing them grow up and become little humans, right? That's the benefit. Everything else is just a drain. It's just an anchor. So so the two ways I say that the black community can save itself: one, voting. 90% of us that are eligible to vote need to be registered to vote, and 75% of us need to show up in every election. All right, I'm gonna harp on this because I think it's an easy way to fix our community. All right. Second thing for the night. Everybody came and was just like, Mike, matter of fact, let's pop on it. Cause y'all love this. Y'all love this ghetto shit. This is Kenny Martin. So, long story short, Kenny and Martin, basically, did I pop off y'all? All right, Kenny and Martin basically accosted the guy that works on the podcast that he's on. This is going to be, I want to say this is Gilbert Arenas' podcast. And he basically said the guy made fun of him and he needed to sit on that same energy. I'm not going to play what he's saying here, right? But let me see if y'all can see the comments right here. Because Kenny Martin said he had a speech impediment and this guy in the red shirt made fun of him. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to play it because I'm going to play Gilbert Arenas' response to this video, right? But I want y'all to look and see some of these comments. This is from Dr. Cheyenne Bryant right here, right? His speech was very clear on that day, right? crystal, right? He's talking loud and clear now. Because what Kenyon Martin's basically saying is that I done brought you around my family, I done brought you around my wife, which I thought, honestly, it was a little bit of a cop-out. If you got a problem with me, it ain't got nothing to do with your wife and kids. Had a problem with you, right? But Kenyon, you know, here we go, another comment. I love when men act like men like this. We ain't letting nothing build up. We address it straight on. Salute Mr. Martin. One of the things y'all know I always tell y'all on the pod is no benefit to men being petty. Never, ever any benefit, right? Give it time. Something happens, unless you need to defend yourself physically or someone else physically, let that shit simmer. Because chances are it is a misunderstanding, right? Look at this comment. Who needs enemies when you got friends like this? Right? Handle it with class and elegance of Orange Juice Jones speech from the rain. All right, we got another comment here. This is definitely how encounters must be. He didn't stutter this time. So everybody is saying that he's doing the right thing because he's berating this guy, this young man. And again, I had it sent to me, and I sent it out to a couple people just to get feedback on it. I didn't say how I felt because I have learned that in life, most of the time, you need to give it a day. Before you run out there and have a comment, you need to give it a day. I've just learned that. Like, I don't, even if it's somebody that is like, you know what? If somebody tell me that somebody that I love said something about me, I don't hop on the phone. I'd be like, oh yeah? I give it a day. I have just learned in life. I mean, I'm also a little bit older. I'm closer to 50 than I am 40. I've learned to give it a day. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you why you need to give it a day. Because I am going to play Gilbert Arenas' response here. All right?
You can't tell a man how to respond.
I agree.
Right? You know, that's one thing you can't do, you know, when they feel a certain way, right? You know, whatever actions you put, you know, if that person wants to respond, that person wants to respond. So, you know, there's just details in it where, you know, the video itself, where the guy was saying it, he wasn't actually working with us yet, with Gil's Arena. He was reading comments, and so this was a few years ago. So he was reading.
Oh, this isn't recent.
Yeah.
This is
So it's not recent. He's reading comments, and I want you to realize who he's defending when he's reading these comments.
recent.
It wasn't recent. It was pushed to Kenyon like it actually was recent.
Yeah, so somebody was
But it wasn't
messy.
a recent thing. He wasn't on the staff, and I guess he was like defending me in a sense, and he was reading comments and going off the comments, and then
So he was reading comments, defending Gil, who more than likely is his guy, his boy.
he said that about Kenyon.
By the way, this is Gil's show, by the way. Everybody else is pretty much hired by Gilbert Arenas.
Okay.
And then after the fact, he met Kenyon when he came and started working for the company and stuff like that, and him and Kenyon became good. So, you know, the people who held on to it, you know, been, you know, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to get it to Kenyon. And then, you know, I guess since it came, you know, to light, like, oh, we have the video. And then that's when he tried to apologize to Kenyon. So but since Kenyon never seen it, he just thought, oh yeah, well, don't worry about it. Now, you know, he's seeing it, and you know, so now he thinks, oh yeah, I had you in my house, had you in my family, my kids, you know. So it's one of those things where it's like, well, no, and it was before, and I had to check, you know, because you know my dad, you know, watches all that down below level content where they down there beefing. You know, doxing each other, recording, they, you know, edit, make it look certain ways. So my dad was like, no. I watched that episode because I was like, ooh, wait, whoa, you know.
So Gil comes up here and tells you this, like, hey man, this was old. This is when he was defending me. This is before Kenyon ever worked for the company, and you know, as any time when people are trolling, which is again one of the reasons why I don't troll. Why I hate when people troll, because a lot of times you're trying to get that affirmation, you're trying to get those likes, and you are throwing people up under the bus, right? I don't think it's okay to speak about Kenyon Martin's speech impediment. A lot of us have disabilities, right? I have a child with disability. If you ever talk mad cash about him, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna go live. But you probably are gonna have to have a conversation with me in real life, and it's probably going to go similar to that conversation, right? But I don't feel the need to bring it to the internet. It's one of the reasons why I tell men we shouldn't be petty, right? We don't have to have the same energy, right? The only people that the only people that are saluting this are people that, again, are reacting off of emotions. And as men, that's not our place. It's not our place to react off of emotions, right? Just not. And this is a prime example of taking the time, getting the full story, getting the full information, right? The guy was still wrong, but he wasn't as wrong as Kenyon thought he was. And Kenyon Martin, being a 6'8", 250, 60-pound superhuman, right? Like, what can you say? Like, what can you say to that guy? Except, my bad. This did not make Kenyon look big to me. Even though everybody in the comment section is like, yo, Kenyon, yeah, man, keep that same energy, right? All these keep that same energy people, I want to know how many of those people are registered to vote. How many of those people are going to show up on November 3rd, right? It's always keep that same energy for the bullshit. It's never keep that same energy for positive. But for the BS, we're like, yeah, keep that same, yeah. You told him off. No, he didn't. Kane's too old to keep letting somebody put a battery in his back. And most of us are too old to keep letting people put batteries in our backs. But again, I received the Kenyon Martin video yesterday. You can find it anywhere. You can find it on Twitter. You can find it on the neighborhood, which is where I had the first one. But I just want to point out that Gil gave perspective to that. Like, yo, this was not like he wasn't at Kenyon's house making this video. This is something that was made years ago, right? And again, it's one of those things, man, where a lot of things when you being petty and you think you being funny, you never know how the world's gonna circle around. World is small. So the young man did learn that lesson. But I think in our community we have this thing where it's always like, yeah, I'm gonna show you up. Right? Matter of fact, let's do that with voting, right? If you want to piss off the Anglos, outvote them. Black men, if you sick of black women, outvote them. Get your voting levels higher than black women. Black women, y'all want to show up? The white women, get your voting levels higher than the white women. Like, whoever you hate, use them as an opponent to show your ass up in the poll on November 3rd. Last thing tonight. So, my homegirl, who I love dearly, like she's one of my favorite people. She sent me this, and she was just like, Mike, nobody pays this. Like, where is he at? What is he talking about? Nobody pays this for a date. And I was just like, no, this is about the going rate for dating. I was like, I think y'all ladies sometimes, because y'all don't pay, y'all don't realize how much stuff costs. Let me see if I can get this over here real quick. I was like, I don't think y'all realize how much stuff costs, man. So the guy posted, he said the average date in America is $189. No wonder dating is slowly becoming obsolete. So she was like, that's not the truth. And I was just like, no, it's like, this is pretty spot on. This is pretty spot on. So what we're going to do tonight is we are going to have a date. We're going to use a calculator, and we're going to use a menu at one of my favorite places. And we're going to see how much the average date costs. Like, we're actually going to go through it tonight. We're going to choose a date. Okay? Now, I'm going to do two things here. I'm going to do one of my favorite spots, right? Crave Dessert Bar did not sponsor this. So, but if you're in Charlotte, it's one of my favorite places. I love Crave. It is a nice ambiance. The dessert is great. The drinks are great. Again, they didn't pay for this. It's one of the places where, if I'm feeling a young lady, I'm gonna head out there. Sometimes I go by myself. All right, but if you go out with a young lady and you're going on a date, let's go ahead and look at it, right? So his quote is, the average date in America costs $189. My homegirl's like, no, it don't. So let's look at average date here, right? So you get there, you out there with a lady you like. She gonna want an appetizer, right? Now it's a dessert bar, and I'm just out here for drinks and dessert. But she gonna say, you know what? I want a dip, right? Now she gonna get this hummus dip and vegetables? Nah, she's not gonna order that. Spinach artichoke dip, she might, which is good. I like spinach artichoke dip. But what do you think the young lady that I'm out with gonna order, right? Probably this blue crab dip, right? That's probably $17. All right, let's go ahead and add that, right? Now that's just the dip. That's just the dip. Now they only serve small plates out here. So let's see here. For small plates, she's probably gonna want something to eat because we didn't go out to eat because I just wanted dessert and wine. But she probably gonna want something, right? So let's see what we're gonna get here. We got lamb chop lollipops, right? I would say most women are probably gonna say, all right, I'm not gonna do that, right? But they probably gonna go down here to these sirloin empanadas, right? So let's go ahead and add that 14. Now we just parlaying, right? Just parlaying on the date, right? So we got two appetizers out of the way. Now we can add a pizza in here. She might get a pizza, but that's the same price right there, right? We got some handhelds. Now if she gets 3, it's a little greedy. But I'm gonna just say, you know what? We're gonna go with we had the sirloin empanadas and we had the blue crab dip. Now remind you, we're going off this tweet. The average date in America is $189. So we're putting together a date right now. Now we're gonna have a drink, right? So what are we gonna have, right? I'm gonna say the lady is probably gonna go classic. She's probably gonna go espresso martini right here. Right. Let's go with the baklava Java. All right, Java. I know it's Java. Let's go with that, right? So she gonna order that. She ordered espresso martini. I'll probably order one as well. I'm gonna get the classic espresso martini. I'm not gonna be fancy like her. So far we're in for a dip, some empanadas. She and I have both had a drink. Now we're at a dessert bar, so obviously we're gonna have dessert. So while we're finishing this right here, right, we're obviously going to have dessert. All right, but let's see here. Let's look at the dessert. Now I wanted to drink wine, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get to the wine. All right, but let's say she wants hookah after dessert, right? It's gonna be $45, but I'm gonna save the hookah, right? Because what we're gonna do now is we're eating, we're drinking water. We done had one drink. Let's get to the desserts real quick here. Let's see here. Where are the desserts? We got cakes and cheesecakes, right? Now this is my favorite right here. My favorite is the Golden Girl. It's like a pineapple upside down cake, but it's not like pineapple upside down. It's really, really good. So I'm gonna order the Golden Girl, right? She gonna take a little bite off my Golden Girl, and let's say she goes with the butter cake, right? So she's gonna grab the butter cake. Now by this time, both of us probably need drinks again, right? So we're gonna go back and get her drink, the fancy espresso martini. I'm gonna go back and get the regular espresso martini, and we've had a good night, right? We've had appetizers. I've had 2 drinks. She had 2 drinks. Neither one of us are drunk. We both have had dessert. Probably haven't finished it. Probably got the box half of it up. Where do y'all think this tab is at right now? Right? Because mind you, we was told that the average date in America is $189, and one of my really, really good homegirls was like, "Ain't no way." All right, about right, because women are sharp because they don't buy shit. You said it, I didn't say it. I just read the comment. All right, but again, we've had 2 appetizers, 2 desserts, 2 drinks each. Where do y'all think this tab is at right now? I'm gonna guess this tab is at $100. I'm just guessing. All right, this tab is at $128 right now. We have not did tip. We have not did a glass of wine to finish the night out, and we have not done hookah. The tab right now, right? 2 drinks, 2 desserts, 2 appetizers, 2 people is $128. This is just a chick that I like. I just like her enough to bring her to one of my favorite spots. It's at $128 right now. 20% of $128 is, what is that? $26? You get $155 right there with tip. That does not include hookah. That does not include if we vibing, right? I like you, you like me. Shit, let's grab the hookah. If I grab the hookah and we both finish off with 2 glasses of wine for the end of the night, I have just added $67 to this tab. $67 plus tip. This tab is $250. Just a freaking dessert bar in Charlotte. I'm low key at a loss for words because one of the things that I keep saying is that for dating to actually take back off in the United States, we really need to take on a more German style of dating, which means Dutch, by the way, because it comes from Holland, the Dutch, because that used to be a part of Germany. Germany has held on to that so much. The Dutch not so much. I went to Amsterdam. They like their shit paid for. But from what I hear, the German men are staunch, like they don't pay for anything, right? But if you was to add on 2 glasses of wine to the 2 drinks that you already had, right? And hookah, this tab is $195 plus gratuity. This tab is $250. So for anyone that thinks that like, yo, the average date isn't $189, yo, it's very easily so. And here's the thing: even if you were to go to like, let's say you go to the Mexican spot, I actually went out with my homegirl and her friend to the Mexican spot, right? Let's just say you went there, right? Which nice spot. You know, let's say you're gonna get 2 appetizers, right? So let's see here: shredded chicken, that's $10. Chips and guacamole. All right, so we got $20 there, right? $20 for those 2 things, right? I'm gonna have a beer, right? So how much is the beer, right? She's gonna have a cocktail. That's $12. I'm gonna have a beer. It's $6, so that's $18, right? So 2 appetizers, beer, cocktail, and then let's say what she's gonna have to eat here, right? Tacos are $5 each. She's not gonna eat tacos. She's gonna be right over here on this menu right here. Let's see here. So she's probably going here. That's gonna be $17. Since I'm on a date, I'm gonna be like, well, shit. Let me get something, good, right? So I can go with, let's say I go with this right here, De Pollo, right? $16. So her cocktail, my beer, 2 appetizers. We're just a casual Mexican restaurant, not even uptown. We're on the edge of uptown. I'm at $71 right now. That's for 1 drink. We're both gonna have. I'm gonna have another beer, right? Let's say she's a lady and she's not gonna have another drink, right? But let's see here. We're gonna get sweets, churros, right? Because who doesn't want cheap churros? You're at $85 plus gratuity. Gratuity is going to be $16. This right here, one of the most modest menus that you're ever going to find. This date is $84 plus gratuity. It's $100. So yeah, the dude ain't lying when he said the average date in America. The first date was Crave, one of my favorite spots, right? Very easily can run $250. Right? If you do hookah, wine in the night, if you take the wine and hookah off, you're still going to be, because that was, the hookah and wine was $67, right? So you're still going to be at $130 plus gratuity, right? So you're still at $160, right? So you're at $160 or $250 to go to my favorite spot, right? Dessert bar. You go to a little Mexican spot that's on the edge of town, not even fancy. You're at $84 plus gratuity. 20%? $16. $17 actually. Right? You get $101, right? So let's say you went to the Mexican spot and she liked you. Y'all went out the first day. Just spent $101. Now you want to take out someplace that's nicer. You know, maybe day 2, maybe the day after, maybe that Saturday. Yo, you can easily be in the game $350. 2 dates. You don't even know the girl's last name. So this is not an invalid complaint for men. And don't let anyone gaslight you and just be like, oh, it's just a little Mexican restaurant. It's not that big of a deal. A lot of times women don't think it's that big of a deal because they're not paying. Right? And again, I don't know how you save dating in this country without people starting to go Dutch. I don't know how you save it. I really don't. I don't know how you rescue dating in this country without people going Dutch. That's my suggestion for everybody. But no, he's not wrong. The average date in America been $189. Absolutely, he's not far off, man. And I had this conversation with my homegirl. We went through the numbers, and she kind of had to concede it a little bit. I don't think she enjoyed conceding that point, but you know, it does not take long to run up a tab. I remember my first, probably my second girlfriend. I remember when we was dating, and I used to always tell her, I was like, hey, I know you think everything is free because you walk in, you get what you want, and then you walk out. I was like, but someone has to pay for it, and that someone is me. Yeah, 2 days, $400, and she might not even like you. Priceless. No, that is not priceless. I promise you, you're going to see it. You're going to understand it. And the thing is, this is not just for, you know, the layman. This is even for men that do date and are good with women. I remember I went out with this young lady for like her birthday weekend. I didn't intend to go out with her birthday weekend. We were just kicking it. Her birthday came up. And I remember we hung out 3 nights in a row, man. And I'll never forget, like 2 months later, she pretty much said, we didn't even do anything for my birthday. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, I'm almost certain we did something for her birthday. And I remember going back through just like my credit card charges for that month. I remember going back through them. And I lie to you not, because I added it up, man. It was $821 in 3 days. I did not know. I didn't even know I had spent that, right? Because I didn't intend to, but it was just like, yo, we just went places. You know, we go to one bar, go to another bar, went to a restaurant, went to, you know, did like golf, and it was like, yo, when I added, it was like 3 days, bro, $821, right? And she was like, yo, we ain't do nothing. We ain't do nothing. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I bought a plane ticket out of the country the next fucking day. I was like, no way. No way. And I think part of the complaint of men starting to, you know, exercise agency is when guys look at like, yo, you know, to Mr. Walker's point, right? You can go on 2 dates and drop $400. I think a lot of guys are like, if I'm not sure you like me, I'd rather spend that. I'd rather add $100 to that or $150 to that and fly to Paris, right? I'd rather fly to London. I'd rather fly to Madrid. I'd rather fly to Medellin. I'd rather fly to Mexico City. I'd rather fly to Cancun. Like, I'd rather do something else. I'd rather do something with that money for myself than to spend it on somebody and they just say, we ain't do nothing. What are you talking about? Oh, man, that's all I got tonight, man. That's all I got. I hope y'all appreciated it tonight, man. I hope y'all enjoyed. This will be in the Black Dads Club group on Facebook. Join the group. Apologies, I'm not in there yet the way I used to be because I got locked out of my old account. We did not have a pod this week. Gav is celebrating his incoming arrival. Congratulations to him and Karina. Love them to death. Beautiful, beautiful pregnant wife that he has right now. Gav looked like he's Mr. Superfly down there in all the videos in Mexico. So I hope they're enjoying themselves. They can't make another baby because she is pregnant. So I hope he's enjoying that also. But that's all I really got tonight. You guys always feel free to hit me up, man. Looking forward to working with you guys on Black Men Strategies this summer. And thanks for y'all coming in tonight. And holler at your boy, man. That's all I got.